So my prayer today is that the Lord give you peace that is unshakable. Yes, my prayer today is that He fills you with a passion for righteousness. Lord, my prayer today is that Jesus will guide you through every storm. Yes, every storm. Lord, every storm. This is my prayer today.
I'm here because I am a roaring lion crying out, righteousness. Welcome, everyone, welcome, everybody, either one will do, to the Trust in the Lord Hour. I am your host, and we've got a lot to discuss today. We want to give God the praise for 16 years, 17 years of trusting in the Lord with all thine heart. Lean not to thine own understanding, in all thy ways acknowledge Him. The proverb of Solomon, proverb number 3, or chapter 3 as one may want to state biblically, and it has been the guidepost. It has been the guiding light that we have followed, without which I'm not sure exactly where we would be, or I would be, and of course it would have a great effect upon who you are as well, many of you. But we have remained faithful to that proverb. My son, forget not my law, bind it about thy neck and write it upon the tables of thine heart, and so shall thou find favor with God and with men. And the law of God will add to thee long life, length of days, and just mercy and truth will be added unto thee, says Solomon in Proverbs chapter 3, that we have on a daily basis taught for the past 17 years. I'm adding a year to it, so in the event I'm getting ahead of myself, don't worry. We'll live that long anyway. But what I'd like to be able to do today is that we've been able to move into the tribulation teaching, and we have discovered something about the chosen few and about those who have been elected and those who have been rejected. And I want to be as clear about it as I possibly can, so you're going to probably hear a lot about this teaching over the next few weeks or months, that God has chosen just a few people to survive the tribulation. And He has rejected a lot of people because of their adaptation and worship of the kingdom of the devil. And then some have just been called, but not rejected or chosen. And what I want to be able to do is to explain to you a little bit more about my statements regarding King Totally Good Joseph. Now, most of you have been around for my ministry, so you know about King Totally Good Joseph that I met in Prospect Park back in 1978, who offered me the world. And I want to set the stage for probably a lot of people. I am not uniquely one who has been offered the world, this kingdom, by King Totally Good Joseph. He actually offered it to Jesus. And he caught Jesus out in the wilderness while Jesus was fasting. And you will note this in Matthew's Gospel, chapter 4. He told him to turn the stones into bread, cast thyself down from the temple, and if Jesus would worship the devil, He would give him all the kingdoms of the world. And I want you to just listen to me. Now, you don't have to believe anything I say. Let's set the groundwork here and the parameters of who and what we're doing. You're listening. I'm live from New York City, from Ottawa at this moment. And you are where you are. You logged on. You chose to log on. You chose to inquire about what I'm saying. So let's establish that. You don't have to believe anything I say, but I'm going to say what I believe and what I know. And what I want to be able to do is give a little bit more historical context as we are now seeing better through the glass darkly. We're being able to see brighter through the tribulation, and also to understand the return of the Lord Jesus Christ to Atla is where he will return. And that I have been called as the servant of the Lord to prepare the way for him. The same way John the Baptizer prepared the way for Jesus to come to Jerusalem, or come to Judah, I should say, or Israel, better yet. So I have been called like John the Baptizer. Now, you don't have to believe that. Do I have to say that again? But you're listening. And whatever reasoning, spiritual strengths that you have, use them to make a determination whether to believe or reject what I'm saying. But I'm saying it, that I have been called like John the Baptizer to prepare Atla for the return of the Lord Jesus Christ. And I made mention that in Matthew's Gospel, chapter 11, Jesus said there was never a man born of a woman as great as John the Baptizer, even though Moses and Elijah and David and Solomon and Isaiah and Jeremiah and a whole lot of others did tremendous and great things. Nobody was as great as John, even though John did not do the miracles or did not open the Red Sea or cause the rain to cease for 3 years. But the very fact he was called to prepare the way for the Lord Jesus Christ, according to Jesus, that was more important than anything that Moses did. And not that what Moses did was not critically, substantially, uber important. Now, you don't have to believe me, but that's true, as you very well know. But my next statement is that I have been called to do a similar work that John the Baptizer did. Now, what I want to be able to do is to give you a little bit more background, those of you who need that background because you have not listened, don't know everything about King Totally Good Joseph, and I haven't talked a lot about King Totally Good Joseph recently as I have in years gone by. But I want to say to you, I rejected his offer in a sense, though I was tempted by him. The issue is that Satan, this is Satan's kingdom, according to John's Gospel, chapter 18, verse 36, Jesus speaking, that this is Satan's kingdom, and that's why God's going to destroy it. If this earth, and most people, whether you've been around the church, 12 years or 2 years or 2 days, most people know there's going to be a new heaven and a new earth. But the reason why Jesus is going to destroy this earth is because right now it is Satan's kingdom. Everything you see going on with Nvidia, with ChatGPT, and with the presidential election, with the presidents, with the Xi Jinpings, if you will, the Kim Jong-uns, the Joe Bidens, the Donald Trump. This is all Satan's kingdom, and all of those are his kings. Those names I've named. So he's going to destroy it. That's God's plan. He is going to destroy it. He said it out of his own mouth. This is not my kingdom, and my kingdom is not of this world. And so we need to be clear about that. And maybe many of you have been around the church, but you never heard that verse because preachers didn't know how to preach it. They didn't know how to explain it. But from there, the purpose of he's going to destroy this kingdom, this world as we know it, and what we refer to as the tribulation. And there's several prophecies within the prophecy of the tribulation. But I want to tell you that I was offered a powerful position in this kingdom, likened to the position that Billy Graham once held. It probably even more powerful than the position that Joel Osteen holds now as so-called religious leader. I was offered that. Now, you don't have to believe anything I say, but I'm just asking you to listen. Satan came to me in the personhood of a young man wearing a military jacket, military garb, but fatigues that they called him in North Carolina. He wasn't dressed as a soldier, but with military boots on from the old school, and offered me the greatest ministry on the planet if I would just simply speak good words. And I had just gotten out of prison. I'd just been released from Auburn State Prison less than a month earlier. I didn't have any money. I had on prison clothes, prison pants at the very least, that I'd gotten from the prison I brought home with me, and the 50 cents I think I had in my pocket. I was bereft. And Satan came to me. Now I can tell you the story about how I saw him sitting in the middle of the meadow at a picnic table type in Prospect Park with another fellow playing chess. I walked up to him, and he instantly told me what my name was and told me what I was, a preacher. So if anybody knows I'm a preacher, the devil knows that I am. And then they went on to tell me that if I would simply just speak good words, I would be a mighty person in this kingdom. Don't ever, well, he didn't use the word don't, but he indicated, and as he spoke, I've never heard anybody speak like that. As he spoke, he did not use any negative words, any negative connotations. He simply used words that were positive, words that were good, words that were enthralling, and he was able to communicate without using negativity or negative words. And he told me if I do the same, that I'll be a great man and a great preacher, perhaps bigger than Billy Graham, who's probably one of the biggest of the 19th and 20th century. And I listened to it, and I heard it, and I was excited by it. I was tempted by it. I have to tell you, I was tempted by it. And at the time, I was not a pastor of a church. I was homeless. And that was my life at the time, and I was interested in doing what the devil said. But I just couldn't bring myself. Every time I got up to preach, when I did get an opportunity to preach, and later on when I became a pastor and began to talk about King Totally Good Joseph, I couldn't do what he said because I found myself being naturally who I am. So I rebuked people. I would preach against sin. I would cry aloud and spare not. And I did that naturally. And I've said, and I want to say further, that I could not be T.D. Jakes. And I'm calling him because he lives in a $10 million house. A $10 million house, has a multi-million-dollar private jet. I couldn't do that. That's not my DNA. It's not in my DNA. I couldn't live in a house that cost $10 million in this world with so much poverty, brokenness, starvation, children dying of starvation in Sudan and in Africa, and single mothers and shelters all over every place, and people sleeping on the streets. I couldn't go to bed at night. I couldn't sleep at night in a $10 million house knowing there's such ravaging poverty and brokenness. I couldn't, that's not me. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. There's no way I could be comfortable doing that. That's not who I am. That's not who I am. I couldn't do that. Now, that's important because what Satan wanted me to do, speak good words and be very rich, very powerful, very influential in his kingdom, I can't do that either. I can't do that. I cannot do that. I can't do it, even if it pays well. It pays millions of dollars, and even though that we have financial issues that we have to deal with all the time, I can't, there's no way I could do that. I can't force myself, and if I force myself to do it, like perhaps some people do, then you're not happy. You're not content. It's not a blessing. It's a curse. It's an albatross around your neck. If you got to force yourself every time you get up to always speak good words, always encouraging people, always, enthralling people, like Joel Osteen does. Or like T.D. Jakes does. They do it every time they get up. And that's what's fascinating about them, and that's what gives them their power. They don't rebuke the way I do. But what I want to communicate is, because the Lord said to me a couple of weeks ago, all I have to do is just be who I am, who he has designed me to be. I can't, there is no, even though the devil offered that to me and I wanted it. No, I wanted it. I wanted it in the sense that that's what everybody wants. I mean, it seems like life is easier and better. So I wanted it, but I couldn't do it. And it wasn't that somehow or another someone came along to me after Satan offered, King Totally Good Joseph offered me that and said to me, that's the wrong thing. Don't do that. That's not of God. That's the devil. That you actually met the devil face to face, one-on-one, toe-to-toe. You actually have met the devil himself. And nobody told me that. Nobody said to me that it's going to lead to, you're sleeping in a $10 million house while everybody else is sleeping on the street, and you're going to be constantly sucking money out of their pockets, telling them that tomorrow's going to be their best day, the way Joel Osteen does or T.D. Jakes does. Nobody came and told me that I shouldn't do that. I just who I am as a person individually. I could not do it. I can't do it now. I ain't gonna do it. Now, to be sure, a lot of people don't like the fact that I rebuke, that I preach instant in season, out of season, with all long suffering and doctrine. I do that now, and that I am natural, and I can go to sleep after I preach. No, I don't live in a $10 million mansion, far from it. No, I don't. But I can go to sleep at night. I can't. The Lord said to me the other day when I was looking at the fact that a lot of people have been rejected by the Lord because they have taken the mark of the beast. If I had done what Satan said, I would have taken the mark of the beast. They have been rejected. They're going to go to hell. T.D. Jakes, Joel Osteen, they're all going to go to hell. And just on a natural order, think about this for just a second. That do you really think somebody like Jakes is going to go to heaven? Do you really think that, or Osteen? I mean, just forget about Satan's kingdom. Forget about the devil offering. Do you really think he's going to heaven? So when I looked at what Almighty God has done, and just a few people, and that's who we are. That's who Outlaw is. Outlaw is a small, well, I would call us a small church. But we're not a mega church. We're just a chosen few. We're the ones that are the elect that will prepare a place, and our choosing, our ordination and anointing is to just be here when Jesus is ready to return, have a sanctified, Holy Ghost-filled, anointed group of righteous people that will be able to live and reign with Christ for 1,000 years, or what I'm going to call the longest day, or what I can call in the sermon the longest day. And it's just a few. It's called the elect, according to Matthew's Gospel, chapter 24, verse 22. After the tribulation has run its course, the tribulation will be stopped because of the elect. And when Jesus returns, he's going to return here to Outlaw, is where he's coming back to. It's just going to be a few people. And by a few, I don't mean 200 or 300. Probably more than 50,000 or so. But that's a few compared to the nearly 8 billion people that are on planet Earth as I speak at this moment. So 50,000 would be just a few, but we're going to live here in Harlem. We're going to reign and rule with Christ for 1,000 years. Now, I'm going to do more detail on teaching on that when I get to Revelation chapter 20 and Revelation chapter 21. And what will be the longest day will be 1,000 years, will happen to 2 resurrections, and then the new heaven and the new earth. This earth and even Outlaw will be disposed of, and then there'll be a new heaven and there'll be a new earth, and Satan will trouble the people no more. He will be thrown into the bottomless pit, or he'll be thrown into the lake of fire, I should say, along with hell and death. But what I want to express, and I don't want you to think, so, well, you're jealous of T.D. Jakes, or you're jealous of, Billy Graham, you're jealous of Joel Osteen or whoever. That's not the case at all. Now, I have to tell you, when Satan offered that to me back in 1978, I had 50 cents in my pocket, I think, maybe, if I had that much. The pants I was wearing, had been a part of a prison issue of clothes that was given to me when I was in the New York State prison system. I was homeless. Although I was sleeping on my sister's couch in her house. It wasn't my house, it was their house. I couldn't do what I wanted to do, couldn't go to the bathroom when I wanted to go. It was her house or their house. I was homeless, it wasn't mine. And I was offered the opportunity to be one of the most famous preachers ever walked planet Earth. But all I had to do to get that is every time I get up and preach, I speak good words, encourage people, tell them they're going to have their best day tomorrow, tell them that everything is going to be wonderful, and tell them how to fix this problem and that problem simply by using your faith and believing. And that if I would do that and just never speak negatively, never say anything that's negative, stay away from bad words, just use good words all the time, every time, good words all the time, every time, and you'll be the richest, most powerful, most famous preacher on the planet. That's what he told me. That's what the devil told me. And he demonstrated it by doing it himself while he talked to me for about an hour. He demonstrated that himself. Then he told me his name was King Totally Good Joseph. King Totally Good. I mean, imagine that. A name like that. King Totally Good. Totally Good. Totally Good. King Joseph, that's his name. You can't make that up. I don't think anybody can make up a name like that. You know, I mean, people can live 1,000 years. Shakespeare and a bunch of other writers and artists and, you know, Langston Hughes even. Nobody could make up a name like King, Totally Good, Joseph. Only the devil could do something like that. I didn't make that up. I mean, people can doubt me from 90 going north as much as they want, but if you just stop and pause for just a second, there ain't no way I could have made up a name like that and then put a story together, like the story I'm telling you about never speaking negative words. But I tell you what you can do. Watch Joel Osteen. You want to see? And so it is obvious that the devil didn't come to me only. He came to Joel Osteen as well, probably as a young boy. And watch Joel Osteen when he gets up. Watch him. Watch what he does. Listen to what he said. Or listen to, if you, Joyce Meyer for that, Paula, listen to any of them. Listen to them. You can see King Totally Good Joseph's prophecy and mark all over Joyce Meyer, all over Paula White, all over Kenneth Copeland, all of them. You know, they're all of them out there. Rod Parsley, you can see their mark all over them. And then the other thing is that their wealth. They're living in the wealthiest lifestyle. So I couldn't do it. But I wanted to be able to express to you, you know, why I refused that offer. But I don't know if it's I'm impressing or if I'm making it clear that I couldn't do what the devil wanted me, even though I wanted to. No, I was tempted. When he said you can have fame and fortune, be the most powerful, well-known preacher, the wealthiest preacher, you know, did I want that? Yes. At least I thought I did. But that's not who I am. I can't live that life. I couldn't do it. And for years, I've talked about King Totally Good Joseph for years, but I never preached this sermon because I couldn't do it. That's not who I am. That is not who I am. I cannot. You have to think about this for just a second. Think about this for just a second. That you take a person like Jay-Z. Let's just use him because I guess outside the preacher's realm for just a second, talking about wealthy people, lives in an $88 million house, right? He even got T.D. Jakes beat, right? But think about this for just a second. How can a man who gets up and raps about the evils of white people, Japheth people who they are, or the evils of the society and nation or country in which we live, to some degree, and yet sleeps in an $88 million house where the people that buy his records and have made him that billionaire sleep in the projects. Many of them, when they get older, sleep on the street. And he's comfortable with that. He's good with that. But not only is he good with that, is he comfortable with that, but the people who made him, gave him that, who sleep on the streets, who listen to his music, are good with it as well. That's who they are. Now, both of those people are sick. By sick, I mean they're satanically sin-filled, both of them. Any man, listen, they're talking today about how evil Putin is, that he has a $40 million house someplace, I forget where it's at now, on the French Riviera. His daughter lives in a $40 million house or a $20 million house on the French Riviera. He's got one in some, if you will, ritzy vacation spot. About how evil he is with all of his money. But think about Jay-Z. And I'm sure the devil came to him and told him, listen, if you'll do what I tell you to do, I'll make you the richest rap artist and whatever else he is. And he took the deal. Nobody gets to that place. Nobody gets to that place. I've even, probably offended some of y'all and probably made some of y'all dial me out for a while. I've even said there's no way Taylor Swift can be where she's at without the help of the devil, without having, there's just no way. You just don't, in this kingdom, you just don't get that kind of power unless you go by way of the devil. You got to get it. You got to talk to him. He's got to tell you what to do. He's got to give you the lease, and then you go ahead and take it. So a man that can sleep in an $88 million house where the people that buy his music are sleeping on the street or sleeping in the projects is insane. But they're both insane. I couldn't do it. And I preach against it. I remember once we had a young man in our church. He wasn't uber wealthy, but he had a few million. He joined our church. He was a millionaire, several $1 million, owned a multi-million-dollar corporation. And we met with a major land developer here in Harlem. This is going back 20, 25 years ago now. Yeah, going back that far. And Harlem is still in the process of major development. Gentrification was still not in its infancy, but at its knee, if you will, toddler state. And so we met with this very wealthy developer downtown in a fancy restaurant. And the point of it is that this man was an Italian, Japheth man. The point of it is that this wealthy developer wanted to use me as a point man, use our church as a point man to come in, use the church to acquire all the property and to bamboozle the people of how it's happening. Because if you're a wealthy man, just come in and start buying up stuff, people are suspicious. Use a church, use a preacher, and they wanted to use me as a point man. And I was set up that way, and it would have made me a millionaire overnight. And so we met in the restaurant. So after the meeting, the fellow who set up the meeting with the wealthy developer, because I kept talking about Jesus, I kept talking about religion, I kept talking about, and he said to me, why, if you had just, he's not going to do it because you're not giving him what he wants. And I wasn't going to give it to him. That's not who I am. I will not be used like Al Sharpton or Eric Adams. I will not be used by these people to rip everybody else off. Yeah, I'll get a high position. I'll get a lot of money. I'll get the fame and fortune of Al Sharpton or Eric Adams or David Dinkins. But it's at the cost of ripping everybody else off. They make one person powerful and then use that one person to rip and strip and rape everybody else. I can't do that. And so the other item is that because many of you are very unlearned, many of you are just when you see me going after that, why don't you go along with them? Because you would do it. If the devil came to you and said, listen, I'll make you wealthy, but you got to rip off your brothers, have to take their property, they're going to end up in the streets, the women are going to end up in shelters, there's going to be brokenness, there's going to be no, if you will, money for the families and for the years to come. All this wealth is going to go, but you yourself will make millions, but everybody else is going to suffer. Everybody else is going to be poor, sick, in prison, shooting and killing one another. But you will be if you let us use you, you will be wealthy. And people do it all the time. Every time you see let me say something to you. There ain't no black politician of note. I don't care what they say out their mouth on the campaign trail. Every black politician you see is a sellout. Everyone. I mean, everyone. I mean, everyone. And even when Dr. King was alive and making his speeches, black preachers realized that he was being used. A lot of white Japheth people said he'd been used by the communists, but certainly he was being used by many of the leftist elitists and globalist white people, and most black people at the time wouldn't go for it. Let me say something to you. Because you don't know, and many of you don't want to be told. When you see a black politician, you see somebody become a senator, are you kidding me? Or a governor, or a mayor, or, if you will, congressman. They have sold out their people. They've sold out in order to get that position. They don't get that position because of their philosophy. You say, Pastor Man, all of them? All of them. All of them. Now, they talk sweet. They'll come to the churches, and you ever see that fool, that Senator Tim Scott, or the one down there from South Carolina, and they got one from Georgia, the pastor of the Ebenezer Baptist Church down there in Georgia. He's also another black senator. They're sellouts. They will not, listen, there ain't no way they're going to let somebody who talk like me for the people, not only just for the people as a sense, but demonstrate it in words and action. They ain't going to let nobody like me get anywhere near power. They're just not going to do it. They're not going to let me get anywhere near power. And not that that I can't speak or don't have, but what you need to understand is that what King Totally Good Joseph offered me, he offered it to Joel Osteen, and Joel took it. He offered it to T.D. Jakes, and Jakes took it. You know, I believe Jakes has always been a homosexual, or at least he probably was molested when he was young, probably in his teenage years, and just continued being a homosexual. But and I'm sure the devil came to him the same way the devil came to me. He used the name King Totally Good Joseph when he came to me. I don't know what name he used when he came to T.D. Jakes or to Billy Graham. I have no idea. But he came to them. I can tell you that. I'm not the only person. He came to Jesus out into the wilderness and offered him the world if Jesus would simply bow down and worship him. So when you see me coming or see me going, understand that's what I know. Understand I know that these politicians and preachers are sellouts. Now, there are a lot of preachers, small preachers, small churches, who want the devil to offer that to them, but the devil won't offer it to them. He won't offer it to them. He doesn't need them right now. I mean, maybe if something happens to Jakes, he'll come or something happened to Osteen, he might call somebody else. But right now, there's a whole lot of preachers out there who want to be like Jakes, who want everything. They get up and preach a sermon. They want to be like Osteen. They want to be like Kenneth Copeland. And women who want to be like Joyce Meyer. But the devil hasn't come to them. And they ain't going to get there. They're not going to get there. I don't care how many worship services they have. They're not going to get there till the devil opens the door. If the devil don't open that door, they're going to live and die in that small church. They're not going to get there. They're not going to get there. But I couldn't do it. One other thing before our time is up here today, that the Lord said to me, all I got to do in terms of this massive work of preparing a place for him to return is just be the man that he designed me to be. Now, a lot of people don't like my style. A lot of people don't like my language. A lot of people don't like, but that's irrelevant to me. That's completely irrelevant to me. Almighty God designed me as to who I am. It would be like somebody say, well, I don't like your hair, you know? So I don't like your hair, so go and get a wig and put on a wig. If you put on a wig, cover that bald spot, I'll like you better. But God didn't design me to wear a wig. Every time you see Joel Osteen, he's got on a wig. Spiritually, every time you see T.D. Jakes, he got on a spiritual wig. Every time you see Kenneth Copeland or Joyce Meyer, they wear spiritual wigs so that the people will like them. They don't let you see who they really, really are. They're sellouts. Same thing with politicians. Same thing with that boy Tim Scott. Same thing with all these black politicians. You say, well, Pastor Manning, wait a minute now. Aren't black people doing better now? You're condemning all of them? No, they're not doing better. Have you lost your mind? Are you crazy? Have you seen what's happening to Harlem? Have you seen what's happened to South Central Los Angeles? Have you been out to Pelican Bay? Doing better? There was no Pelican Bay 70 years ago. South Central Los Angeles could be compared to Beverly Hills in one regard. The houses weren't as big or as luxurious, but it was peaceful and quiet. No, you're blind to the absolute truth. And even though people went to church on Sunday, they had some sense of morality. They had some sense of family. They went together as families. Years ago, before black people could get air conditioning in their churches, because none of them had air conditioning, the funeral people used to come around and make fans for the churches. When the last time you seen a fan in the church? Because all the black churches got fans, but they ain't got no families. Are you listening to Pastor Manning? Are you listening to me? All the black churches now don't have any fans, but they also don't have any families. They got air conditioning, but they don't have any families. Is what I want to say if I misspoke a few moments ago. But you remember, if you're old enough to remember, they used to put a picture of a black man, right, a suit and a tie like I got on, and then two children, a girl and a boy, and then on the other side, his wife. She'd had on a nice pink dress and a white hat. She looked good. There was a family, a black family sitting up in church. You don't see that no more. Where you gonna find that? You ain't gonna find that at T.D. Jakes' church. You ain't gonna find that at Joel. You ain't gonna find that no more. It used to be on the fan. Be fanning back and forth in church or worship. It's hot, it's sweaty. They fan with the beautiful family on the fan, and the name of the funeral home on the fan as well. All that's gone. All that's gone. It's gone like Willie at the Chicago train station in the movie A Raisin in the Sun. It's all that's gone. It's worse now. But see, the devil lied to you and told you, even though, there's a scream for me. The devil lied to black people and black leaders, black preachers, even though black people are in prison, men in prison like you won't believe, men are sleeping on the street and others sleeping in shelters. And then you got a few black people on television talking about we're doing better now than we've ever done. They got Al Sharpton talking about we've come a long way. Are you telling we've come a long way? Are you serious? Are you? Al Sharpton talking about we've come a long. Now we got to make more progress, but we've made a lot of progress. Progress? I mean, the prisons are filled to the brim. There's homeless shelters. You can't build enough of them. People are sleeping on the streets. Shootings and murder and poverty and brokenness and bulldozing over churches. And you say we've come a long way. We've made a lot of progress. I mean, if you could just one moment stand inside my shoes and see the lunacy and the hypocrisy. And I think the biggest con game ever was that Barack Obama boy. Hell, the biggest con I've ever seen. You know, I've been on the street. I know the con game, pimp game. I know all dope game. I know all that. That Obama, I had black people running around here talking about they go our first black president. I said, There are people over in India and Russia and Korea that can't even speak English. But they can say damn fools over there in North Korea, damn fools. Talk about Obama, the first black president. Black people, they can say they couldn't speak English, but they can sure enough say damn fools. You never seen anything like it. And life that we used to have Harlem. Harlem used to be a beautiful place. Lord have mercy, the rhythm of Harlem. The good-looking families, the family on the fan used to live in Harlem. The husband, his 2 children, sometimes 7 children, the wife, and they used to all go to church. The family on the fan. The family on the fan used to live in Harlem. Now the husband's in prison, the wife is in a shelter, and the boy's out on the street shooting, and the girl is pregnant and has had children by 5, she got 3 children by 5 different men. That's what happened to the family on the fan. Since Al Sharpton, since Barack Obama, since Tim Scott, since all the rest of them, David Lincoln, all the rest of them, the family on the fan. The family has been decimated, and all the black people, when the woke, all the George Soros people, all the woke people talking about things are better now. We got a much better life now. We're making progress. Here comes Ben Crump with his no talking self. Listen, I'm going to tell you the absolute truth. If Johnny Cochran was alive, he'd lead a national movement to imprison Ben Crump because he can't talk. And not only can't talk, he can't think. Or the word is think. Bring back Johnny Cochran. Bring back Johnny Cochran. Bring back the family on the fan. Bring back the family on the fan. I never seen anything like y'all Negroes. I swear to God, talking about we're making progress. We got black movie stars. We got black athletes. And they're all homosexual. And you're letting these people in the media, especially these runaway Jews, who run the entertainment industry and the movie and the music and the college industry, push all these homosexual men and women up before us and say, these are your leaders. This Eddie Gloyd, Van Jones, Don Lemon, Al Sharpton, homosexual. Push all these people up in front of you, that Joy Reid and all that, push all these homosexuals up in front of you and say, these are your leaders. These are the people you're supposed to look up to. Are you serious? So I refused it. But the devil has offered it. And this is his kingdom. This is his world. Now, Jesus is going to get rid of it. Jesus is going to destroy it all. He's going to destroy it all. And let me state that my job, and anybody who God will choose, you got to be chosen for this. Or if you're not, many have been rejected. And yeah, some of you listen to me, God has rejected you. He has rejected you because you have bowed down to the altar of Satan. You bow down to the altar of Obama. You bow down to the altar of blackness. God has rejected you. And the issue of the rejection is you heard me speak the truth and you rejected the truth. So when you rejection brings rejection. When you rejected me, you rejected the truth, God rejected you. And you reject. But they're chosen. And by the way, the dynamics of God, the dynamics of heaven and its principle, and the prophecy of the new world, the new heaven and the new earth, the prophecy of the new kingdom, the prophecy thereof is that there's only going to be a few. They're called, Jesus refers to them in the Gospels as the chosen few. He refers to us in the gospel as not the mega church. No, not the mega. God hasn't chosen the mega. He has chosen the chosen few. Now, there are many are called who are still in the grace of God in the first resurrection, will be given a place even in heaven or on the new earth, but they have not been chosen either. It's the chosen few. That's what Atla is. Every time you see Atla, we're the chosen few. God has prepared me. The same way he prepared John the Baptizer. To prepare a way for him, he's prepared me to prepare Atla. And if you're chosen, then you can serve. If you're rejected, your heart will turn cold. You'll be suspicious. You'll still be walking around there looking at people that have been chosen by the devil. So next time you listen to these preachers, these mega preachers, Listen very carefully to their messages. Listen very carefully to their messages. Their message is good words, good sermons, make people feel good. And then, if beyond that, then they got good music. Some of the best soloists, some of the best musicians. I mean, they got good music. They got everything good. They got good cushioned pews to sit on. By the way, you know, I'm suspicious of cushioned pews, and this is just an aside. Pastor Man, you don't have to say this. You know, we used to have carpet on the pulpit covering the floors of the church, and we never had pews on cushions on the pews. But carpet, when people walk in, they got all kind of stuff on their feet. They've been stepping in the streets and stepping in all stuff. Maybe the dog did something. They stepped in that. They didn't know it was there. The sidewalks and people walking. And they got enough mess on their shoes. So when they come in the church and the church has carpet on the floor, the carpet cleans the bottom of the shoes. And what's on that shoe, whether it's spit or whether it's cracked vials or whether it's dog stuff or whether it's flowers, whatever's on that shoe, the carpet going to clean it off. Now, after the worship service, the vacuum cleaner people come in and they vacuum, but that stuff gets into the fibers. Then they come and they wash it down every now and then, but it's in the fiber. So it stays there. Same thing with pews. People sit on the pews, and the cushion seats, they're nice and cushiony. You sit down and it's real soft on the bottom and everything, and you sit there and the back is cushioned. But sometimes people's posterior is not clean. People don't always clean themselves appropriately. Or sometimes people, and sometimes, and this is not a put down of anybody, sometimes people leak. They just leak. Now, that's not funny. I'm laughing because this preacher was holding this revival. And his first night of the revival, this man ran up and said, I want to join the church. And the pastor laid hands on him and blessed him. And so the next night he came back, I want to join the church. Said, okay, all right. Second time, the preacher laid hands on him and blessed him again. And so they came the third time, and the preacher said, I'm not laying hands on you no more. You leak. Sometimes people leak. Now, I'm not making fun of anybody's sickness or illnesses. I didn't have very much knowledge of this when I was much younger. But I since I became a pastor and the Lord told me about women and their menstrual, when God's menstrual is a good thing because God cleanses a woman's blood. Men ought to have one too. But God blessed the woman with a menstrual that will clean her, but get all that gunk out of her blood, and it dumps it every month, about the same time every month for 3 or 4 days, sometimes 5 days. God just dumps all that gunk out of her blood that she got in there. And it collects. And women have to put up with that. They could be sitting up on the job, and if the day comes a day early, and all of a sudden they start leaking, and they got to go to the bathroom, and so what's wrong with you? And then here you come. Here's a man. He ain't got no sensitivity at all what the woman's going through. She don't feel well. It makes her feel uneasy. She feels dirty. And not that she is dirty. She's not. But she feels terrible. She's wet. She's leaking and gushing. And here this guy come. He want to talk to her. Or the boss want to give her a hard time. But she has to go through that several days every month for most of the years of her life. But when they come to church and they leak, and I'm not putting women down, God forbid. I'm not doing that. Lord knows I'm not doing that. That's why I'm concerned about these cushions in these churches, or in the movie theaters for that instance. People sit up in the movie theater. What am I saying? I'm saying to you, my brothers and my sisters, that I turn down the offer of King Totally Good Joseph. I am who I am. Now, we're not a mega church. No, we're not. Don't expect it. But we are a righteous one, and that cannot be denied. You may not believe this. You may reject it, and maybe it's because God has rejected you. But this church, Atla, this pastor, you see James David Manning, I have been called to prepare the way for the Lord Jesus Christ to return to Atla when he comes back, on his second coming. And In many ways, it's probably the greatest calling since the birth of Jesus and John the Baptizer, 6 months respectively, or John the Baptizer and Jesus' birth 6 months apart respectively. It's probably the great, and I'm not saying because I'm boasting, but the Lord has let me say it now because time is winding up. And the Lord let me express this. We outlaw. We are the chosen few, not the mega. We're not the mega. We are the chosen few. We're not the mega. No. And this pastor, all I have to do is just keep rebuking, keep being who I am, keep being what God has called me, designed me, fire baptized me. Don't let nobody try to tell me how to preach, or they don't like this sermon, or they try to run this scripture past me. You ain't getting nowhere with me on that one. I'm going to do what God has found me worthy to prepare the place for him. And he's found the people that are around me, the people that love me, the people that support me. He has found us worthy to prepare a place for him. Even John the Baptizer said he was not worthy to carry Jesus' shoes. But Jesus has found outlaw, this church, these people. Jesus has found us. Every time you see a member of the outlaw church, he has found us worthy to prepare a place for him. I rejected the offer of King Totally Good Joseph.
Said little David, Lord is thine. I'm in your favor. I'm giving it all to you. I know not what to do. I'm so glad you let me see that you're really all that I need. For the battle's not mine, give it to you, Lord, it's time. Little David, oh so small. Goliath, oh so tall. Odds were just too high for little David. So he shook off all his load. With the power of God he was clothed. He said the battle's not mine, I give it to you, Lord, this time. Now little David, unafraid, before the giant he stood that day. It seems to be the end, for the mighty giants ascend. Just like the lion and bear he slew, oh Goliath shall come down too. For the battle's not mine, I give it to you, Lord, it's time. Little David, oh so small. Goliath, oh so tall. Odds were just too high for little David. So he shook off all his load. With the power of God he was clothed. He said the battle's not mine. He said the battle's not mine. He said the battle's not mine, I give it to you, Lord, it's time. Holy said, Holy Spirit, yes, thou art welcome. Holy Spirit, yes, thou art welcome. Yes, we invoke your presence. Yes, we lift high your name. Come on, yes, we invoke your presence. Yes, we lift high your name. Oh, it dwells among us. He dwells among us. Yeah, he dwells among us. He dwells among us. Yeah, he dwells among us. He dwells among us. Yeah, he dwells among us. He dwells. For you are welcome in this place. 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 For you, for you, for you, for you, for you are welcome in this place. For you are welcome in this place. For you are welcome in this place.
Coming to you live from New York City, it's the Manning Report with your host, Dr. James David Manning. The news behind the headlines.
I'm here because I am a roaring lion crying out, righteousness. Welcome, everybody, to the Manning Report. I am Manning in the event you thought someone else was going to show up. No, it's me. And we've got a mixed bag of skies over us today, Sister Kane. We've got, some clouds and some blue. So we don't have a really bad day today. Well, no, every day that the Lord day, every day with Jesus is sweeter than the day before. Every day with Jesus, going to love him more and more. All right, there are a lot of things going on in the world today, but in one regard, I want to talk a little bit about Trump and his financial woes, give you my perspective, and then a little bit about Alexei Navalny, what's happening with him. I understand his body has been viewed by his mother, but let's get started with Trump. Judge Egderon this week ordered Trump to pay the state of New York what was the amount that he was ordered to pay? The total amount, however, with the E. Jean Carroll event came up to $455 million owed to the state of New York because Trump had made over $1.7 million in interest and savings and interest by fraudulent filings and other things that they had done. And so the total money that allegedly the Letitia James said that Trump scammed the banks out of and scammed the taxpayers out of at the same time was around $355 million. And if you add on the money that E. Jean Carroll verdicts it brings it up to $455 million. And from what I understand, that the interest, I think the interest rate is at 9%. The interest rate on what Trump owes pre-judgment is $87,000 a day. On $455 million, nearly $500 million, the interest rate is $87,000 a day. $87,000 interest. So every day, the interest mounts up. So a lot of people are just trying to discover, well, does Trump have that kind of money? And I don't know whether he has it or not, but if you ask me for my opinion, I would say no, he doesn't have it. And if he does have it, who wants to fork it over to the government while he makes the appeal? Because in order to appeal the case, he's going to have to either pay up or post a bond or put the money in the church, the court treasury. The reason why I think he doesn't have that kind of money, it's just a lot of cash, and I'm not sure Elon Musk, they have a lot of assets, but liquid cash, that level is, probably Warren Buffett has it to somebody. I'm not sure Trump has it, and I'm not sure Trump has access to it. The other thing is that Trump offered to sell some sneakers the other day at $399 per pair, which is about, let's round it off to $400 per pair. If he could have sold 1 million of those sneakers, he would have reaped $400 million. I don't think he sold 1 million. I don't think people went for it. Most of the men that follow Trump are not sneaker-wearing men. Had that been, Obama trying to sell sneakers to black people, well, he would have sold 100 million or more than 400 million, or whatever the number is. He would have sold out. Let me put it that way. So Trump is, is at a very difficult, even if he has the money right now, I'm not sure that he does, to have to fork over that kind of money, and he's not going to win on appeal. You can forget that. That's a waste of time and money to appeal, the way Judge Eggeron and Letitia James set him up. That's a waste of time. And he doesn't buy himself any time in terms of money by posting a bond and appealing. Maybe, if he got the money, pay it and walk away. I don't think he has it. Now, here's some potential. Trump could have seen this coming and told, remember the other week he was at this conference and he said, if a man from a NATO nation asked him if he didn't pay his NATO bills or what a percentage he's supposed to pay to the NATO organization, and he was attacked by Russia, Trump as president, he asked Trump, if you were president of America, would you come to our aid? Would you defend us? And Trump said, listen, if you haven't paid your bills, no, I'd let Russia do whatever the hell they want to do to you. I don't know if Trump saw that, because Trump's a shrewd guy. You have to give him that. Trump may have seen this verdict coming down the line at 400. His accountants probably told him how much money he's going to owe, and the interest rate on that's going to be $87,000 a day, which is a lot of money. Per day, by the way, not a year, per day. And so he may have given a signal to Vladimir Putin, because Putin might have that kind of money, $400 million. I'm not sure that he does. Russia is, somebody said, is a gas station with an army. It's not. It's only 140 million people in that, one of the largest landmass nations on the planet. But I'm not sure Putin's got that kind of money. Now, the boys over there in Saudi Arabia, they got that kind of money. In fact, his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, got that kind of money. Jared Kushner walked away. I mean, talking about somebody flim-flamming playing Trump. Jared and Ivanka played Trump like a Stradivarius violin. Jared walked away from those boys over there in Saudi Arabia with $2 billion. So Jared may have it, but he ain't giving it to Trump. I can tell you that right now. But I don't, Trump been running around. He spent over $51 million in legal fees. Boy, I'll tell you, the lawyers must be happy. The law firms all over America, everybody's getting a piece of Trump. Everybody's getting $1 million contract. And by the way, these lawyers are making Trump pay up front. But the thing of it is that Trump is taking that money out of his campaign coffers, meaning that the campaign, the people paying the $20 or $30, giving donations to Trump, are the one paying Trump's $51 million legal bills, and his bills are only going to get worse. He's got a trial coming up here again in New York. The Stormy Daniels hush money trial is coming up on the 25th of March. And they're going to need money for that. It looks like the Judge Chutkin's trial is going to happen, was scheduled for, I think, what was it scheduled for? It was scheduled for March, but I think it's going to happen probably in June or July, before the election, probably even before the Republican convention. You're going to need money for that. So things aren't looking, so he may be expecting somebody like, I don't know if Vladimir Putin would give him that money. I don't know. I know that there are a lot of billionaires around the world who might just say, listen, I'll tell you what, I'll give you $500 million, now you pay it back. But you got to pay me $100,000 every day in interest. And then when I want the money back, the 500, I don't know how that works. You know how these mafioso types, because these Russian boys got a lot of money. They got a lot of money. And there are people right here in America who got that kind of money who give Trump that, who got that liquid cash, I believe. So I'm watching to see how all this is going to fan out. Plus, now he's got Nikki Haley on his trail like a little dog nipping at his heels. I'm not calling her a dog, by the way, Nippy Haley. Nippy. I should call her Nippy Haley, yeah. Yeah, see, when I was growing up in North Carolina, there was people never next door to Bo McFadden's, his mother and father and his family had a black dog named Nippy. He was always tied to a chain because all he would do is bark, and you walk by their house, had to go to, if you try to get to school, you got to walk by their house, and Nippy would bark all the time like he wants to bite you, Nippy. So I think I'm going to call her Nippy Haley. Anyway, she's in the race and giving Trump a bit of a headache as far as that is concerned. But it appears to me that that Trump may be in a bit of trouble now. I'm sure there are people that, I don't know if y'all remember when Oral Roberts, this is going back over 30 years ago now, 40 years ago, Oral Roberts stood up. Oral Roberts was a big-time televangelist. This boy was big. He was huge. And he was healing people, throwing wheelchairs off the stage, throwing canes and crutches back at the audience, and people walking up and praising. Well, I don't know if they're praising God or not. But he ran into some financial troubles, which people, it happens. And this is going back 40 years ago, 50 years ago, maybe 40 years. He stood up on television and said, if I don't get $1 million, God gonna kill me. And he had started Oral Roberts University. And the school did a little something for a while. I don't think it's doing very much now. I think what killed Oral Roberts, but let me get to the other thing, is that when he stood up and cried and said, if I don't get $1 million, God's going to, some guy who owned a trucking firm just sent him a check for $1 million. Tell him, shut up and go somewhere and sit down. But that was the last of Oral Roberts. But he built this, I remember watching on television going back, this is years ago, he built this hospital. Now, he was a great healer, right? Miracle healer, Miracle Oral Roberts. And then he built this huge hospital there in Tulsa, Oklahoma, some 30 stories high. It was with the most sophisticated kind of, but the people were telling him, Oral, people don't go to hospitals, they do a lot of clinic now. But he built it anyway. And I think it brought the whole Oral Roberts institution. Now, they were all built on the same campus. Anyway, the thing of it is somebody gave Oral Roberts $1 million, but I don't know who's going to give Trump $500 million. I don't know who's going to do it. And his legal problems are just beginning. Now, his people can rise up. I don't know that they will. And because, if everybody chipped in, like, just for instance, if he had sold those sneakers at $400 a whop, had sold 1 million of those, all they had to do is 1 million people buy the sneakers, bam, he's out of trouble as far as that money is concerned. At any rate, I thought I would express that to all of you, just in case you wanted to know. You're getting it from, I don't know if I want to call myself the horse's mouth. I ain't nobody's horse, mouth or otherwise. But I figured you'd want to know what my take was on that. Now, let me give you a little bit on this Navalny business as well, and then I'm going to get to the point I thought where Biden called Putin a crazy SOB, son of a she-dog. Anyway, so this Navalny boy, he was on a flight going back, 3 or 4 years ago, and allegedly the Russians poisoned him on the flight, gave him some poison tea or coffee or something, and he almost died. They took him off the flight, had to turn the flight around, took him to the hospital. He recovered. And after he recovered, he got up out of the hospital because he'd been giving Putin a hard time. I mean, Navalny gave Putin a harder time than I gave Obama, and I gave Obama down in the country. I still do, by the way. So Navalny, after he survived the poison, went back to Moscow, and they arrested him on some trumped-up charges, I believe. And then they kept him in Moscow for. Then they sent him to this penal prison out in the Gulag. And we heard the other day he's dead. He went out for a walk and just dropped dead. Now the man's a young man. He's 47 years old, going for a walk and drop. Everybody know what that was about, And I think the other thing is that Trump may have given Putin some cover when he said that Putin can invade any nation he won't, do what the hell he want to do. And Mike Johnson and the Republican boys, caucus, won't send Ukraine any money, so the Ukrainians are backing up. So Putin may feel emboldened now. So in the midst of all this, he figured now's the time to kill Navalny. That's what I think. If I, I won't kill anybody. That's not what but where I'm going to kill somebody, I would look for a whole lot of other smoke screens to be around it. So when I kill him, there'll be all kind of other talk going around that would, but now is the perfect time. Don't kill him in peaceful times. Everybody's, So I think Putin may be smart enough to realize now that if you're going to kill Navalny, which he wanted to do for quite some time, kill him now. And he killed him, and he's dead now. I heard that they are arresting people. If you go to a memorial there in Moscow or St. Petersburg and you lay a flower, they will arrest you for laying flowers on behalf of this boy, Alexei Navalny. That's what I heard. And what I heard is true. I said the other day, what I say is what I say is always right. I was just joking. And somebody said, Pastor, man, done gone delusional. See, people ain't got no sense of humor. At any rate, Navalny's dead, and Putin, I think, is a madman also. But I thought I would give you the upgrades on those headlines when I get back. I'm going to talk to you about Joe Biden cussing out this boy, if you will, Vladimir Putin. I'm going to take a break, let you listen to a little something about our school, and then I'll be right back.
Peace be unto you and your family. Welcome to the Atla Children's Breakfast Program. We welcome parents and their children to partake in our breakfast program from 7:30 to 8:30 a.m. Monday through Friday downstairs in our fellowship hall. At 8:30, we end our breakfast program to run our elementary, middle, and high school. If you wish to inquire about our school, please speak to one of our staff. Have a blessed day, and thank you.
Hola, mi nombre es José Luis Matos. Soy uno de los asistentes ministros de la iglesia Atla World Missionary Church. Mi pastor James David Manning me ha pedido que le diera oficialmente la bienvenida a nuestro ministerio. Bienvenidos a ustedes y a toda su familia a disfrutar de nuestra comida y hospitality. También queremos invitarlos a nuestro servicio que se da todos los sábados a las 10 de la mañana. Si hay algo que podemos ayudarle, por favor déjenoslo saber. También tenemos una escuela desde el kindergarten hasta el 12 grado. Si desea inscribir a sus hijos, por favor contacte a la madre Elizabeth Saramani al teléfono 877-777-0734. El teléfono es 877-777-0734. Gracias. Peace.
right, I need to bring you up to date on several things. One is that I'm not sure that every broadcast I do is being monitored by the Philip Little Liar law firm. Now, they call themselves Philip Liar Law Firm, but I prefer using the name Philip Little Liar Law Firm. I'm not sure that everything I do is monitored by them, but it has been proven in the past that they did monitor and have monitored some of my sermons and my commentary. So they may be monitoring. And I suspect the reason why they're doing that is they don't have much of a defense. I mean, they have no defense whatsoever against the charges I've leveled against them regarding their violation of my civil and protected constitutional rights. So they're looking for something else to try to defame me. And they figure, well, the best way to do it is to see if he says anything that can be used in court. But if they bring any of those things up in the court during the trial, I will object to it strenuously. They've even taken photos of our announcement board outside. They call it the marquee. And they've reported that to the judge. But I'll object to that most strenuously because it's irrelevant. But what I do want to say is that a number of people may think that somehow or another that I hate black folk, or that I'm a hater, or that I hate homosexuals. I don't hate homosexuals either. I don't. We've had a lot of homosexuals in our church, and some have done good things, but they could not continue to be homosexuals. But I do speak the truth, and the truth hurts in many ways. But it's the only thing that can set people free. So what I want to do now is that I've tried to explain both sides now, Judy Collins, if you know Judy Collins and both sides now, I've tried to explain the dynamics between what is now known as the MAGA group and what is known as the leftists or the woke group. That the woke group and the MAGA group are the two sides of the same coins, but they don't see themselves that way. I do, and I don't see them that way. If some imaginary situation, I see that because that's who they are. They are the woke, or the globalists, or the leftists, or the liberals, and the MAGA. They're equally, if you will, diabolical, if you ask me. But I also want to make sure that the word gets out that I don't hate black folk. I don't think there's anybody on the planet that loves the black man, the black people. Now, they're Hamites. I love him with all my heart and all my soul. I live with him. I feed him. I've educated his children. I've helped him. I've gone to the prisons to preach and pray for him. And I'm going to stand by him until he wakes up and flies right, till he understands and receives the truth about what has happened to him. And he gets his homeland, Harlem, back into his possession. I love him, and I want that to be clear. These other people are rip-off artists. They talk about Al Sharpton, one of the biggest con men. I mean, Jesse Jackson got to be looking at Al Sharpton and wondering, what the hell, how did I go wrong? Tavis Smiley and Dr. Cornel West got to be looking at themselves and saying, what the hell did I do wrong that Al Sharpton could become the leading Negro in America today, when you had the likes of Tavis Smiley, or the likes of, if you will, of Jesse Jackson, who was a leading Negro for a while, and Cornel West, and that Al Sharpton, that snake, that drug dealer, that Tawana Brawley lover, if you will, is a spokesperson for black people. And that no-talking Ben Crump, who, if Johnny Cochran was alive, he would put all black people, he'd take Ben Crump to trial and execute him, convict him rather, of being probably one of the most inarticulate lawyers that ever stood in a courtroom. But no, Al Sharpton is the most famous Negro in America today. The most famous Negro in America today. Even the president goes to kiss Al Sharpton's ring. You know, the liberal leftist woke CRT people like to talk about how Kevin McCarthy went down to Mar-a-Lago and kissed kissed Tribulation Trump's ring right after the January 6th assault on the Temple of Democracy. But hell, President Joe Biden came up to Harlem and had some fried chicken with hot sauce and kiss Al Sharpton's ring. Ain't that nothing? Every black politician comes and kiss Al Sharpton's ring. So you see, there's no difference. There is no difference in the MAGA group or the woke group. They're both, if you will, what's the best word I can describe for them? They're unconscionable parasites on the human psyche. Unconscionable parasites. Have I ever used that before? A parasite, an unconscionable parasite? They're degenerates, both of them. The MAGA, Hillary called them the deplorable. Hillary, you didn't go far enough, honey. You didn't dive deep enough. They are the degenerates. And the woke group are the degenerates, if you will, with dog. I don't know what kind of. Anyway, so everybody kisses Al. Al Sharpton, the most famous Negro in America. Nelson Mandela and Martin King and Malcolm X must be turning over in their graves. Al Sharpton, Negroes have chosen Al Sharpton. He's more popular than Obama. Oh, no. They don't go kiss Obama's ring. No, Al Sharpton is the sickest Negro. And what is he suffering from? He looks like he loses a pound a day. And he tries to wear those Tom Ford suits. I wonder if he's got Tom Ford making those. Because right now, I mean, listen, he's not even a junior size. You know, when you go to the store, the KG Market to buy clothes for your little boy, he's not even junior size anymore. So, but he's the most, when you got Al Sharpton as the Negro that every white politician from the low globalist, leftist, if you will, liberal, wants to kiss his ring and have a piece of fried chicken at Sylvia, you know it's a sick world. But it's also equally sick when Mike Johnson and Kevin McCarthy and Lindsey Graham and all the rest of them, Marjorie Taylor Greene, all want to kiss Trump's ring. And probably, well, anyway, so you can see how they're both the same. There's no difference. In either group, they're both unconscionable parasites upon the human psyche. Sounds good. I think I'll keep using that. So here's what I have done. I put together a resolution by way of a tweet where I stated that how to dissolve MAGA and defeat Tribulation Trump is, first of all, to remove and silence all these pinch-nosed Negroes. Now, if you don't know what a pinch-nosed Negro, I do not have the time today to explain it to you. Go to the Google or to the Urban Dictionary, and it'll be right there. Look it up, pinch-nosed Negro and woke Negroes. Get rid of them from the news programs. They've been hired by all these television stations all over America, both black, both liberal and conservative television. Get rid of all of them from both groups. And these college professionals, even got that boy, that big so-called Bishop Barber up there at Yale. He wouldn't know how to spell Yale if you wrote it on a wall for him. Get rid of all these college professors in every political office in America. Now, people will use this and say, this man is mad. He's, no, I want to know what happened to the family on the fan. That's what I want to know. I want to know what happened to the black family on the fan from years ago. That's all gone. That's all gone. Since we got all these college professors now, these Yale and Princeton and Harvard, got all these woke Negroes, got all these newscasters, and then Al Sharpton has become the most important Negro in America, if not the most important Negro in the world. Al Sharpton, the most important Negro in the world. The man who's the most degenerate Negro in the world is also the most important Negro. Al Sharpton is the degenerate from way back in. He's an unconscionable parasite with a processed hair. Anyway, so today I want to get to number 2. Have a statesman such as myself give public attention to declare in truth that Negroes ain't never built a desirable city. What's the difference between Adu Babi and Bobby, Dubai? Adu Babi, and there's Adu Babi, which is Dubai, or Adu Babi is Dubai with an Abi. It's a beautiful city, that's one thing. Architecturally, it is a wonder, a wizard of the world. Black people ain't never built one. They just never built one. And But they burned down a whole lot of cities, and they burned down the ones given to them. They were given Harlem. Harlem. When I finish with this court thing, I'm gonna start spending money here in Harlem, and because Harlem is really a very beautiful place when you bring the truth. Anyway, so my job is to ask what happened to the family on the fan. What happened to them? And there needs to be somebody. See, they're not going to give me any access to the media. They know I'm here, but they ain't going to let me talk. Because they know the truth I say will start, if you will, a movement in America like you've never seen before. Because people never even think about it. How on earth did Jesse Jackson, I think, raise the question, how on earth did Al Sharpton become the most important Negro in the world? Here's our leader. Here's our supreme leader, Al Sharpton, the most important, the supreme Negro in the world. So you need to have a statesman like me make that statement. Put that back up there once again, Mr. Engineer, and then we can take it back down. But Al Sharpton, so Negroes have never built anything. Now, it's not that they can't. And I can do a deep dive and talk about the Hamites, but they weren't Negroes and they weren't black that built the pyramids. The most enduring structures on the entire planet, the most enduring structure, the most marvelous structure, the most mysterious structure, the most spiritual structures on the entire planet, going, or coming, are the pyramids. But they were built by the Hamites, not Negroes. Now you say they weren't Nubians either. We weren't that Nubian. Every time I turn around, I say about Nubian. And so, and the Sphinx as well, and did a lot of other things that were really upscale during the days of the pharaohs. There's no doubt about that. Now, the pharaohs and the Hamites were the sons of Ham, and they moved to Egypt after Noah cursed Canaan, and Canaan moved to what is now known as Israel. And but before it was Israel, Jericho was built by my brother Canaan, and the whole land of now known as Israel was settled by Canaan, and he built some of the most profitable cities you ever want to see. So his father was in the west with Egypt. The son Canaan was in the east with Israel. Now, the Jews later took it over when God gave it to them, and rightly so, it still belongs to them. But they abandoned it after the temple was destroyed in 70 A.D., and they were scattered during the time what is known as the diaspora. And the Apostle Paul then traveled to all the cities where the Jews were scattered to all the various cities of Asia Minor, Ephesus, Galatia, Philippi, Laodicea. All those cities, the Jews left Jerusalem and left Israel, and known as the Great Diaspora. And so when that happened, the Muslims moved in and named the land Palestine. And it remained Palestine for over 1,000 years until David Ben-Gurion came back in 1948 and reclaimed the land. And the fight is going on right now in Gaza. Many of the people in Gaza left Israel, left Jerusalem, left Judah, and moved to Gaza during the days of David Ben-Gurion, when the Muslims were exiled from, and they're still fighting to get back into. They still call it Palestine. They call themselves Palestinians. Well, so what I'm trying to say is that I could give credit to the building that black people have done in the past, but that's not the issue. The issue is since they have denied God and since God cursed them, and they've come to America, they've not built anything since then, and the whole world is built around them. Now, the Lord has sent me here to teach them and to deliver them from their bondage, from their ignorance. And the only way you can do that is with the truth. We've seen that marching and giving a Nobel Prize to either Nelson Mandela or to Martin Luther King did not set them free. And the truth of the matter is, obviously, when I asked whatever happened to the black family on the fan, is that the truth of the matter is that black people's lives now are markedly 1,000,000% worse now than they were during the period of Reconstruction or slavery. Now, a lot of people get on their high horse and talk about that I ain't but a black man, that I must be crazy. But those are the ones that I would estimate for every one Negro that's got a position as a college professor like that, Eddie Gloyd boy, that homosexual, or like that Bishop Barber boy who looks like a runaway rhinoceros out of the Kruger National Park, or any of them, Al Sharpton, for every one of those who are able to live good, or like Jay-Z, he and Beyonce, live in an $88 million house, for every one of those, there's probably at least 200,000 to 300,000 black people who are living in abject poverty, suffering, misery, brokenness, husband in prison, wife on the stroll. I mean, it's just the children rampant, running away, unattended, going to these armed camps called schools where they don't learn how to read nor write in the ghetto, in the hood. And you call that doing better. And then just somebody just need to be able to stand up and point that out and say that. And that's what God's called me to do, and that's what I'm going to do. And that's what I'm doing. And I want to thank God for everybody who hears me and will chime in. They see my video on YouTube. They'll chime in and say, preach the truth, Pastor Man. Just keep preaching the truth. What I also want to, so I appreciate that. I appreciate that because I'm telling the truth. I mean, just in the general sense, the two phrases you can bring from this, or three, that black people are an unconscionable parasite on the psyche of humanity, we can use that. We can use whatever happened to the black family on the fan, we can use that as a title. And then there is Al Sharpton, the most important Negro on the planet, is a scream. I mean, when the black people's greatest representative is Al Sharpton, you know black people's lives must be in the sewer line, not even in the toilet. They've been flushed already. When Al Sharpton is the most important Negro in the world, Al Sharpton, the most important Negro in the world? Are you serious? Whatever happened to the morals, to the spirituality, to the reality, to the ethics of all of the human race, to call Al Sharpton the most important Negro on the planet? Negro, anyway, so my job is to make that plain. So I thank all of y'all that realize I'm speaking the truth. It's not hate I'm speaking, I'm telling the truth. Anybody with half a sense of understanding what love is, know that the love I have for the black man is dangerous because I love him enough to tell him the truth. I love him enough to see him set free. I love him enough to tell him what Jesus said in John's Gospel, chapter 8, verse 32. You shall know the truth, not I have a dream. You shall know the truth, not by any means necessary. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. And you shall know the truth, and not no justice, no peace. You shall know the truth, not no justice and no peace. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free, not no justice, no peace. So that's my job. So I am thankful to everybody that stands with me, supports me, gives me help, prays for me. Thank you for that. And so, Mr. Engineer, put it back up there one more time. And so I've done, so far, this is my third segment. I did a segment the beginning of this week on Tuesday, did one on Wednesday, and then this is my third one, so I've got one more. So let me just read the whole program. You need to, if you really want to, you need to understand MAGA and woke are just two sides of the same coin. They're both unconscionable parasites on the psyche of humanity. MAGA and woke, they ain't no different. But both of their four-letter words. But there's a whole lot of talk about, trying to understand now we're going to, Donald Trump, which he very well might be the next president of the United States of America. He very well might be. What's going to happen? Because, the MAGA group realizes that if he doesn't become president, that's the end of their existence in America. It's all over with for them. So I don't care what Trump can. Trump can stand on Fifth Avenue and shoot me, and ain't nobody gonna say nothing. They can probably shoot Ivanka too, and still nobody gonna say nothing. If Trump stood out in front of Trump Tower and shot Ivanka, ain't nobody gonna say nothing, because they realize if Trump don't get in, these woke Negroes gonna take over with these leftist globalists, pimped by these, if you will, runaway, non-Holy Ghost, no going to temple Jews, and these, if you will, so-called, if you will, George Soros white folk. And by the way, so the election is very important in the eyes of a whole lot of people. Probably, they say, probably one of the most important in the history of America, and it very well may be. The problem is that the person running against him is old Joe. By the way, I'm not against old people. That's not that's not my thing. So this is going to be if you will, a nail biter right down to. And now a lot of people trying to throw. Either one of these boys might fall sick. The same way Navalny fell sick. They said the other day that boy Alexis Navalny went out for a walk up there in that penal colony up there, some 100 miles or so, 800 miles north of Moscow. Went out for a walk and fell dead. Look out, boy! Let me tell you something about these politicians. What's going on in America today with the MAGA fighting the woke versus the MAGA? That one of these politicians might go out for a walk and fall dead in the middle of the walk. But so I wanted to be able to explain that. So first of all, the way to deal with this is to remove all the pinch-nosed Negroes, and they are despicable. And the woke Negroes from news programs, college professorship, and every political office in America. That's number one. I did that the other day. Number two is what I just did today. Have a statesman, and I'm a statesman. I am, in case you don't want to call me that. That's your call. You do as you like. It's your thing. Do what you want to do. I can't tell you who to sock it to. Have a statesman as myself give public attention to declare in truth that Negroes ain't never built nothing, built a desirable city, but they burned down a whole lot of them. And I would addendum that by saying that Negroes need to also state that slavery was ordained by God according to Genesis chapter 9, starting at verse 24, and all black people living and dead bow down to the word of God and obey it, that we were slaves not because the white man is evil or mean, more so than anybody else, but God prophesied that we would be slaves when Noah cursed Canaan. That's just how that is. We accept that. The way Jews accepted the fact that God told Abraham that his children were going to be slaves in Egypt for 400 years. They've accepted that. And so I would add that, I would addendum that. The next time we get together, my third segment will be make rappers give every dime they've conned from these stupid Negro youth and make all their Jewish pimps in the music, they should give that every dime back, is what I should say. Maybe I need to revise that. I mean, here these poor black boys and girls buying this rap music. They ain't never heard no real music. One fellow told me, I let them listen to some music from the 50s and the 60s. He said, what is that? Even though the people like the Marvelettes, the Temptations got a little bit of play, and they may have heard about the Temptations, the Supremes, and, the Four Tops, and Johnny Mathis, and, a bunch of others. They may have heard about Ray Charles, but the rap music was what they grew up on. And they didn't know any different. They didn't know that was, anyway, so they need to make all these rappers who took all this, because they got the money from poor people, the Jewish pimps. Now, I'm not a hater of Jews. I'm a Zionist. I told you that before. Some of the best relationship of friends I've ever had was with Jewish people because I could trust them. But they were Jews that loved the Lord. There are a whole lot of Jews out here don't love the Lord, don't even love each other. But these are the ones that have taught Jay-Z how to pimp Beyonce. Ain't that nothing? Iceberg Slim and Nicky Barnes, they would marvel at how this Jewish man taught this black man how to pimp his wife. And boy, that Jay-Z pimps that Beyonce like you won't believe. Anyway, so these rappers ought to give their money back. Actually, I'm doing this. So let me just read it because I'll save this for later. So con the stupid Negro youth and make all their Jewish pimps in music and entertainment industry serve. That's funny. I'm serious though. Make these Jewish men serve 7 years in the Gulag, where Alexei Navalny was. He was in the Gulag, 7 years in the Gulag in Russia, and permanently banned their ass from going to temple. Permanently banned their ass from going to temple. Oh, and declare all Negroes unfit for the presidency. And the pinch-nosed Negro, a child of the devil. All right, I got to deep dive that, segment number 3, and I won't bother y'all with that anymore, but I want to know what happened to the family on the fan. I want to know how Al Sharpton became the most famous Negro in the world. And both the woke and the MAGA group are unconscionable parasites on the psyche of humanity. That is correct. However, I'm James David Manning, everybody. I'm the Lord's servant.
Well, hello, Dr. James David Manning. This is Nigel Farage. They call me Mr. Brexit. Now, your internet preaching in your ministry in Harlem reaches across the pond, here to England too. But I'm told, like me a few months ago, the bank is trying to foreclose on your church. Now, look, being conservative, of course, makes life very, very difficult with the woke banks. But you are the kind of man with the kind of belief that can overcome this. There are banks out there that will have you. It's going to take you time and effort. If you need my help, you give me a call. James, you're going to win this one. Don't you worry.
A true man of God. Pastor is a man of God who gives his life to the Lord. He fears no man, and he chooses his battles. He is a very generous man, a loving man, and he truly loves the children in the Utler schools. He cares about their well-being, and he cares about the members of the church. Pastor is my father, and I am his son. He only hopes for the best for me. He cares about my well-being, and he is interested in how I am doing. He prays for me. I am a really, truly blessed person. He is a man of integrity and honor. Pastor is a man who I trust, and there are not many people who I trust. He helps me when I'm in need. He does not like to see me in hardships or in pain. Pastor is not a man who moans or gets huffy. He is a strong man, a man of power. He's a man who you will never understand because of what he has been through. What he has done for the people is far beyond what anyone can imagine. That is why I love him, and I know he is a true man of God. I put my life in his hands. Thank you, Pastor. Thank you, Pastor. Your son Canaan from the UK.
All right, so the word's out now that Joe Biden is mixing it up with Vladimir Putin. You know, Tucker Carlson was over there the other day, you know, in the supermarket and the subway over there talking about how great Russia was. But I understand that Joe Biden called Putin a SOB. Hide the children, everybody. Yeah, that's what he called him. And I think we actually got it on tape, or I don't know if we got it on tape, because I understand it was said in a private meeting with some donors that old man Biden said that Putin was what I just said he said he was. So, Mr. Engineer, do we have that tape? Let's roll it, see what happened.
Welcome back. President Biden letting loose on Russian President Vladimir Putin last night. At a fundraiser in California, Biden called Putin a, quote, crazy SOB, end quote, telling us all how he really feels as the U.S. government prepares a new package of sanctions against the Russians, after Alexei Navalny was killed in the Arctic prison. Russia claims Navalny mysteriously died there after taking a walk last week. The UK announced new sanctions overnight as well. CNN's Claire Sebastian joins us from London. Claire, the Kremlin just responded to those comments from Biden. What are we learning?
Yeah, pretty strong words, Casey, from Dmitry Peskov. He said that these comments from Biden were shameful. He called them a huge disgrace for the United States. I want to read you a portion of what he said. He said, clearly, Mr. Biden is demonstrating behavior in the style of a Hollywood cowboy to cater to domestic political interest. And he then holds President Putin up as someone who never makes offensive remarks. So, look, it's relatively common in Russia for officials below Putin to sort of hurl insults at the U.S. It plays very well, I should say, in the Russian propaganda, where the sort of confrontational foreign policy with the U.S. is a way of deflecting the blame of Putin for any of the ills inside the country. So that, I think, is what we're seeing here. President Putin, though, himself usually tends, as Mr. Peskov was alluding to stay aloft of these kinds of public spaces.
All right, now what you just heard was actually true. Biden did call the Putin the son of a she-dog. But that was CNN's edition. That's where you get on CNN. See, I want to show you now, that was the way CNN reported. Here is the way you get it on the Manning Report. News is just breaking that Joe Biden, president running for president, is at a fundraiser out in San Francisco last night, and in a private small meeting there in the meeting there in San Francisco, it was heard that Joe Biden called Vladimir Putin a crazy SOB. And so we flew quickly over to Moscow, over to the Kremlin, to find out how Vladimir Putin responded to being called an SOB by Sleepy Joe. And when Putin heard the tape that Biden had called him the son of a crazy son of a she-dog, it was understood and recorded that Putin said, "Your mama." Your mama. That was Putin's response. I got to go worry about it. I can't take it no more. I'm going to laugh myself into the bottom of this chair. I'll see you later, everybody. I'm James David, man. I'm the Lord's servant. Peace out.
Good morning. This is another song I did a little while back. Hope that maybe you might enjoy it. The song goes like this. What's the world got to offer me? I want a love. Some things I don't want to say. I want a love. People blind, they can't see. I want a love. Come and go with me. I want a love. I'm a long ways from my home. I want a love. People that laugh at me, 'cause I want a love. What's the world got to offer me? I want a love. I want a love. I want a I walk alone. I hope you enjoyed this song today, and thank you for tuning in. These are some songs I did a while back, and hopefully it'll be a blessing to you. So, as of right now, peace out.
Let me tell you a little story. Here I go. Thinking back to the days when I was younger and so free. Wondering when I lost my dreams, when did I lose all of me? Now my dreams right before me, dancing in my face. When did I stop the dreams from coming? When did I get to this place? Going round and around, where will I end? Where I'm going, only God knows. If I just dream, truly believe, I know I'll find my way to the top. Never give up, keep pushing on. I'll never quit or ever stop. I'm going into another place. Ooh, here I go. Here I go. As I look at my life, I realize I want to fly. Wanna reach everything I can and spread my wings up high. As I walk down this narrow road and I look back upon me, never thought I would need and love who the Lord has called me to be. I'm going way beyond all of my dreams. Where I'm going, only He knows. If I just dream, truly believe, I know I'll find my way to the top. Never give up, keep pushing on. I'll never quit or ever stop. I'm going into another place. Ooh, here I go. Here I go. If I just dream, truly believe, I know I'll find my way to the top. Never give up, keep pushing on. I'll never quit or ever stop. Trust in the Lord, rest in His word. When I need Him, I simply call. I'm going into another place. If I just dream, truly believe, I know I'll find my way to the top. Find my way to the top. Yeah. I'll never stop. When I need Him, I'll simply call. I'm going into another place. Ooh, here I go. Here I go. Here I go. Here hand.